Let's give birth to a stream.
And this,
Sorry. Weird.
Ow.
that should be the memoir of your title of your memoir, "Birth to a Stream."
Streaming into the Nexus.
Switch over.
Mail's here.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2. Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Oh, Internet. We have I would call this like a tapas meal of technology news today. It's tasty bites. And they're substantive. They're not appetizers. We're not talking about small bites. Small plates maybe, but not small bites.
I mean, one might say tabloidy, Tom.
Tabloids of news. Yeah, Justin, we learned yesterday that the word tabloid originated as meaning small compressed medicine pills.
Really?
Yeah, like tablets that were smaller than the usual tablet, a tabloid. And then the idea of compressed small things was applied to the smaller format of the tabloid newspaper and its smaller news items.
Well, that's what I had always known. Tabloid, I had always, or early, I figured out in the newspaper process that it was more about the format than it was about news.
But that was a metaphor borrowed from actual tablets.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Nobody uses tabloids to refer to medicine anymore, sadly. Or bring it back.
Sometimes tabloids talk about it.
Right.
It's usually not good news.
I meant like to the pill itself, yeah.
Can I just say that I really like Roger's new artwork?
Oh,
yeah, Roger changed his angle.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole new world in the Chang residence.
Yeah.
Roger's like, that poster's always been there, but we couldn't see it, Roger. We didn't know it was there.
No, it was not there.
That's when we got hitched by Elvis.
That's awesome. I love it.
Elvis Presley and Anne Margaret.
Well, not Anne Margaret, just an Elvis aficionado.
Someone would like to know if the title of our Twitch stream is an intentional pun or a typo, because it reads Amazon's Climate Chang Action.
Perhaps it is both.
They're asking also for... we're annoying everyone right now because we're talking about Roger's new camera angle. And, of course, the audio people can't see it. The video people can't see it either because it's not auto-switching to Roger, so...
Un momento.
They want to see your great new angle on the life. There you go.
There. Dun dun. Soak it in. It's going to change in a second.
Yes, it will.
I mean, what doesn't, Roger, when you really think about it?
I don't know.
Life constant. Roger. Anyone who tells you different is selling something.
Well, everyone's selling me something. This is what there's. It's just the value added on the product that gets me.
Everyone is always selling you something.
Yes, my kids try my kids are constantly trying to sell me they need more ice cream. My wife is constantly telling me that we need to buy my kids something to keep them from eating more ice cream. My neighbor insists.
I guess you could think of anything you do as some sort of a sale.
It's all transactional.
At the very least, you lose time in the process.
That's a very 19th century way of looking at the world.
Well, yeah. I mean,
time is money.
Not really laying awake at night thinking about this, but now that we're talking about it, it's true.
Out of my
way,
lollygaggers.
We're all salespeople.
It is.
We're salespeople and we're suckers.
That's why I'm so bad at life.
Isn't that the whole thing? It's like you, especially when you're friends, when you try to, when we're trying to make friends, you're always trying to sell yourself as something better than what you think you are. So
when you're trying to make friends,
that's not how we became friends.
Isn't it, Tom?
Isn't certainly it? On my end.
Roger's like, well, you thought I was totally different.
But it turns out I was actually the same.
Roger.
So, by the way, are we flying tonight or are we driving? When we meet up tomorrow. because it's September 20th, the Storm Area 51 day. So I assume that along with the rest of the internet, we're all going to go storm Area 51.
I have never responded to that
gosh,
RSVP.
I was like,
No, what's really funny about that, Justin, is Sarah and I are both going to a
flying
wedding
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Really? Oh, that's so funny.
And so I was like, shoot.
Is it at Area 51?
No, sadly, it's not. I
that would
really
be
wish it
cool.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just like, does Justin think we're doing the road trip or, oh gosh.
Oh my God. That's...
I immediately was like, oh crap, is it going to
we
be
really
really
screwed
bad?
this.
I was just trying to set up an Area 51 joke.
No, I get that, but that's why it stunned me because I'm like,
Justin,
wait,
have
I
you been
actually
to
am.
Area 51?
Hell no, and I'm not going now.
Wait, did you respond to the
asked,
Facebook post?
We might know.
Are you
No.
one of the millions?
I'm just because this is so it is tomorrow. For those of you who are unaware, there was a viral thing that went around on Facebook that was we're gonna storm Area 51 because they can't stop us all. If they shoot at us, we'll Naruto run faster than their bullets, and we're gonna see them's aliens. Was the exact wording. It went viral. Millions of people marked that they would be going. A reminder that Area 51 is an actual functioning Air Force base. They can stop you all. And
Yes.
they will.
In fact, it's their job to stop you all.
Yeah. Naruto running, not real. However, there are, based on the popularity of it, apparently some of the neighborhoods in the Nevada desert that are close to Area 51 are
filling up.
Received people that, from around the world.
Are they there to see the spectacle, or are they there to be part of the spectacle?
No,
Yes.
buddy, no.
Yes, the answer to that is yes, they are.
We do know that the guy who set up the Facebook thing, who took it down because he felt that it was going to be dangerous, initially tried to partner with people to set up a concert around Area 51. Realized that was not going to happen because doing a music festival out in the Nevada desert is at short notice. Yeah. I mean, like the Electric Daisy Carnival does a yearly event that attracts a ton of people, and they probably do it as good as one can at it's like at the NASCAR facility out there, and they regularly have dozens of people that have to go to the hospital for
dehydration.
Well, I mean, Burning Man didn't become Burning Man overnight. That takes a lot of coordination and slowly built over the decades.
Well, the headline act would be Alien Ant Farm.
Shockingly, they didn't go with that. There's a bunch of other. So now they're doing an event in downtown Las Vegas.
Yeah, makes more sense.
Yeah, which is a much better idea. You should go talk about aliens in downtown Las Vegas because, spoiler alert, the meme won't feel as funny when you are slowly withering into a frail husk
in a place that literally doesn't have water and will take it out of you if you have any inside of you.
The desert is built for death. So be aware, kids. But I hope you have a good time in your wedding.
Just wear layers. You should be okay.
Yeah, the wedding's not in the desert.
Well, that's good.
No, it's in Northern California.
Oh, okay.
And I got an emergency dog sitter.
Oh,
that's what I got to do yesterday evening.
Do you think
everybody else was enjoying the sunset? It better, because I'm dropping him off at her house tomorrow. She was really cool and super understanding that it was a last minute ask on my part. I had it for anybody who's like, what are they talking about? I had a dog sitter kind of go silent on me a couple days before my dog was supposed to live with him for a couple of days.
Probably went to Area 51.
Probably did. That's the last we'll hear of Gustavo.
Sorry, Gus.
I don't know. I actually hope he's okay. I still haven't heard from him. Yeah,
this is kind of worrisome.
Yeah, I was like sort of half mad and half like I'm concerned.
Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah, so I don't. But anyway, yeah, we're all gonna be okay.
One time I tried to use one of those online dog sitting things. I was just ordering a walk to try someone out just to see how it worked.
Yeah.
And they accepted and then canceled. And then I was like, and I'd already started messaging them, and then I messaged and was like, "Oh, I see you canceled," and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I did that on accident. Try again." And so I tried again, and they didn't accept, and I'm like, "Okay, that's weird."
You definitely are gonna get, you're gonna get some duds.
So I never went back.
Yeah. There are really good things about this gig economy, but when it comes to things that are really important, like keeping my animal alive, it can be tough.
Need good vetting.
And vets.
Speaking of
vets.
Now, I will be fine doing the show tomorrow on Climate Action Day because I right now have produced 150 kilowatt hours from the sun this month. This is me officially being better than all of you.
So wait a minute, did you get those solar panels so you could you could feel a mixture of both redemptive pride as well as kind of indignant superiority?
Yeah, no, I mean, sure, it has lowered my power bill, but boy, has it raised my self-righteousness. Oh, it's amazing. They have a graph for it in my solar system monitoring panel. Your self-righteousness is off the charts.
Oh, jeez. Jeez.
Oh, man. I thought about it yesterday, and I was like, but yeah. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Has he added in his carbon footprint to see where it kind of levels out?
Would Bezos be proud?
I mean,
he's actually getting a call from his self-confidence right now. Great.
It's I was thinking about solar at one point, but man, I don't have the cash lying around. Don't have it lying around. Oh wait, Tom declares his moral superiority over the rest of the shows.
So wait, so you guys are going to the same wedding, Sarah, or are you going to wedding?
Yeah. Yep. Same wedding. And
we're getting to the end of wedding season, right?
This is the only wedding I've been to this year, which is I want everyone who wants to get married, and please invite me if you want to, but I love a wedding-free year.
Wedding-free year is clutch.
It's great.
The thing that sucks for me is that like all of my like old friends are East Coast. So
yeah, right.
A wedding isn't just like a weekend. It's
a reunion.
Yeah, so it's like that's not this weekend, but next weekend I'm going to Florida for a wedding, which will be nice, and then we're gonna stay out there and visit my family in Orlando.
Once I had Ellie, I just said, "Can't make it. Got a kid. Sorry, I'll send you a gift."
That's pretty clutch.
Was it last year or the year before? I guess it was the year before. It was like a 6-wedding year, and they were all weddings that I wouldn't have been able to be like, "Oh, sorry, I can't come." Yeah. I was in a couple of them, and the rest were really good friends. And most of them were destination weddings. In fact, they all were. What am I talking about? I lived in LA. Not one of them was in LA. And it was at the end of the year, I was like, wow, okay. First of all, I don't even want to travel because I'm tired. But the travel budget just completely went to weddings.
Yeah. Ugh. I'd say that's the problem, is that I really had to pick and choose because a big, big cluster of friends I've known since like high school, and each one of them that gets married, it's like, can't say no to that one.
Congratulations, I'll be there.
Another flight to Florida. Although that actually was like, it was not the worst because it also doubled as like, I'm seeing my family, so I could like lump that together. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the wedding this weekend is not far away from where my mom lives, so. I'm just going to stay with her, where those are the best, right? Where I'm like, I get to see my mom and I don't have to pay for a hotel. Woo.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Or stay in Tom and Eileen's hotel room with them. Because I would have expected, you just get a couple of queens. We'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you guys are going to sleep in 2 different beds. You have a whole bed you're not using.
Yeah. Don't be greedy.
Don't be weird.
Yeah.
Privacy? You want See, alone all the time.
Like once you're married, there's no privacy.
I know I know married couples, or they don't have to be married, but people who are, they're life partners.
Yeah.
Who take great strides to, maybe even sleep in separate bedrooms, not because they're mad at each other, just because personal space is really important. Sometimes I'm like, that's weird. But another part of me is like, okay, I guess I can get that.
Especially for parents.
Yeah, we sleep in separate beds right now.
Where sleep is like of the essence. There's he's talked about it online. Brian Brushwood snores really loud. So it bugs his wife, and so for the last few years he has slept in a tiny little pretty princess bed in one of his daughter's rooms who can like stand his snoring. And it's only now that he cleared out the studio in his house, which has been there for as long as we've been like doing podcasts together, that he now is getting a spare bedroom again. And he will have a place where he can sleep in an actual bed for the first time like ever.
Well, and let's be honest, once you actually want to go to sleep, it doesn't, this is not like a group activity here.
Yeah.
You're asleep. It's like, I don't want to bug anybody next to me.
Exactly.
Should we alert Tom?
Well, I think he's on the phone.
What's serious? I'll adjust times accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do this. Start adding minutes where there were no minutes before.
Do.
Yeah, we have a small apartment. Although I don't know if Ashley does get annoyed with my sleeping, where if we had a house, it's probably not inconceivable that she would tell me to sleep in another room.
Right. If there was just like adequate area for everybody to,
like, if we had a guest room,
yeah,
like, oh, I got a very busy thing tomorrow, like, do you mind? Like, I could see that happening. Or it's like, hey, don't come in if you're coming in late, like you wake me up in the middle of the night, and that would disturb my sleep.
Totally. Like, yeah. Well, once you get to the point where it's like, I'm not worried that you won't be there later.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I need you to help me out with this thing, and love you still.
Yeah.
Oh. What do you think, Otis? He says, no, I want to sleep in the same room always. We actually sleep in separate rooms. It's the one thing he gives me.
My wife and I sleep in separate rooms because she still co-sleeps with the baby. Also, I snore, so.
Yeah.
I might have, I don't know. If I ever have some money lying around for personal improvement, I might get something to deal with that, but not right now. I don't know, some people do, right? Is that too weird that they get like snore surgery or whatever?
I think it is debilitating for some people. In fact, a friend of mine, I don't know if he got it or if he was going to, but just like crippling sleep apnea that was not only loud and causing an issue with his girlfriend, but like
affecting his health.
Yeah, because he was sort of having like sleep deprived panic attacks and all sorts of bad stuff can happen. Not that anybody who snores needs to worry about that, but
yeah,
it was on the drastic side of things where I was like, the surgery sounds like a good idea, actually. I usually don't say that to people.
I don't know if it's my sinuses, but as soon as I lay down, like my entire nasal cavity just kind of starts to shrink. Like there's like a weight on it. But if I stand up, it's fine. So I'm just wondering if it's a building.
Well, when I am congested, if my sinuses are congested, it's always worse at the first thing in the morning because you've been just sort of simmering all night, and then you get vertical and things start to.
Well, it just pulls up in that area behind your nose cavity.
Gosh, speaking of, knock on all the wood. Haven't been sick in some time.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Well, I knocked on wood, so I didn't.
Is it IKEA wood?
I know the rules, guys.
Like if I knocked on wood, I'm just knocking on sawdust that IKEA glued together and sold to me
I
for
think
like
that
$40.
counts as wood. It started as wood. It's just this wood is West Elm wood, I believe. Some of the finest. I think I got this at West Elm. Yeah, definitely wood.
Solid wood.
Solid wood.
And
the solid wood dancers.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it sounds terrible. In fact, it
sounds pretty bad.
It sounds like a Portland gentleman's club.
Yeah, it
does,
sounds like a very
yes.
lewd Chippendales act.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm positive that the solid wood dancers already exist. They must.
Right.
There's no doubt that it's at like an off-strip casino.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of.
I'm not looking, just so if anyone was wondering. Dance act. There's a. Oh wait. No, these are all dancing floors.
What at solid wood?
Yeah, solid wood.
Is anybody getting an iPhone?
I am not.
I haven't ordered one.
I'm not.
I might. My phone is actually in terrible shape, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to just keep it alive as long as possible because I upgraded last year and it's expensive.
It is.
You
I'm
know?
only getting it 'cause it got off.
Hey, I don't know if you guys knew that the iPhone's expensive.
Yeah, I got on the stupid upgrade program last. Like I got talked into it last year, and so this year, it's, well, why did I do this stupid program if I'm not going to get the new thing? So
Right. Well, and I want the new phone. I'm just my screen's cracked as usual, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even see it anymore until someone looks over and is like, "Oh, what happened?" And I'm like, I don't even remember. It was like 6 months ago. Nothing. Like lightly tapped it, and that happened.
I don't know. Phones are one of those things that, like, they're my desire for a new one kind of decreases with each subsequent upgrade. Like my phone does everything I need it to do right now. My only one thing that I wish it would do better is taking photography, which is I really like the new iPhone, but I can't shell that much out for a phone. I just blew like $600 on tires.
But I don't know, and of course my 10s Max. I had to think about what do they used to name these things. It's not as nice of a camera as the new iPhone, but it's still really nice.
It's a good camera. Look,
Yeah.
the cameras.
I'm like I can't believe that Roger would be like, I really care about photography, and that's what I don't have.
Yeah.
Well, there's just
lesser
like
models.
lots of moments with my kids
All
that
right.
are like,
we got.
Sorry about that, y'all. Okay.
That is all right.
Talking to the vet about Ray the dog, who's doing much better, thank you. But that was something I had to take. Shall we do the Daily Tech News Show then?
We shall.
I adjusted all the times.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, Huawei throws a Hail Mary, Google makes a play to win at Pay in India, and Bob Iger's dream. This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, September 19th, 2019. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From the shores of Lake Merritt in Oakland, California, I'm Justin.
And I'm Roger Chang, the show's producer.
We were just having a lovely chat on Good Day Internet, the wider show surrounding Daily Tech News Show. If you're like, hey, you know what? Daily Tech News Show is great, but I would like more of Sarah and Justin and Tom and Roger. Well, become a patron, patreon.com/DTNS. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Pocket Cast slightly altered the terms of the new plan we told you about yesterday to offer its app for free, but charge for a premium service. Now, yesterday, the company announced that users who had paid for the desktop and web versions of the app would get Pocket Cast Plus premium service for free for 3 years. But some users were upset because they had been promised lifetime access when they originally bought the apps. The company has changed that to give lifetime access to Pocket Cast Plus to anybody who bought the web or desktop version of the apps.
The journal Scientific Reports has published a correction to an article on the increase in enlarged external occipital protuberances found in the back of the head. This was because it was widely reported that smartphones caused horns. Since the paper determined posture caused the protuberances and speculated the usage of mobile devices could be the cause. The correction removes references to smartphones and tablets and makes it clear that there is no evidence of a connection between device use and the formation of the bony bumps.
So get off the horns of that dilemma. Tuesday, the High Court of Paris, Le Tribunal de Grande Instance de Paris, ruled that European consumers are legally free to resell digital games bought on Steam. French consumer group UFC Quécoisier filed the lawsuit 4 years ago. The court rejected Steam's argument that Steam is a subscription service, noting that Steam sells games in perpetuity, not as part of a subscription. EU law allows all goods, including software, to be sold used. However, Valve told Polygon it will appeal the decision, and the decision will have no effect on Steam while the case is on appeal.
Apple moved up both iOS 3.1 and iPadOS release dates to September 24th, which is 6 days ahead of the original September 30th release date. iOS 13.1 includes automated Siri shortcut actions, a new Share ETA feature in Apple Maps, data separation for enterprise devices, and bug fixes for iOS 13. Have you heard of those? There are quite a few, according to many reports. AirPod sharing and new HomeKit features, which were announced originally for iOS 13, aren't going to roll out until sometime later this fall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not having any bugs with mine, but, with any OS update, there's going to be bugs. If you're worried, don't upgrade until September 24th. Then you get all the patches and everything all at the same time. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about the big announcement from Amazon, Justin.
Indeed, Tom. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos announced Thursday that Amazon has signed on to the Climate Pledge, which promises to become a carbon neutral company by the year 2040. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, called the Paris Agreement, aims to make the world carbon neutral by 2050. Amazon wants 80% of its energy to be reusable by 2024 and 100% reusable by 2030. Toward this goal, Bezos says Amazon has placed an order for 100,000 electric vans from Rivian to start hitting the road in 2021. 15,500 Amazon employees previously pledged to walk out of work on September 20th in protest of Amazon's support of fossil fuel companies. Similar pledges have been made by Google and Microsoft employees, and a letter was sent by Microsoft employees Thursday protesting a Microsoft partnership with Chevron.
To be clear, the big problem Amazon employees had with Amazon was the support of fossil fuel companies. Amazon's Jeff Bezos did not announce any change in the deals with fossil fuel companies with Amazon. He did address it. He said, well, you got to give them better tools first before you can blah, 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 blah. But really what this is about is I think it's significant that we have seen one of these tech companies for the first time react. There's been a lot of these kinds of walkouts, protests, letters, petitions happening for a while. But until I was seeing a company actually react, I wasn't sure whether that was actually doing anything or we as consumers would feel any effect. I'm not sure this will affect us as consumers yet, or if it will, how, because it's a lot of we're gonna do things, not we have done things. But I think it's significant that we actually saw Jeff Bezos get up on stage and say, okay, here's what I plan to do.
Yeah, I mean, 100,000 electric vans are not going to make Amazon carbon neutral anytime soon. That's for sure. But okay, it's a start. This is a lofty goal. I mean, he's undercutting the Paris Agreement by a decade, and I don't think this is entirely lip service. I think that if Amazon can do this and not, eat into their bottom line too much, there's no reason not to. But it's Amazon. I mean, to think of the carbon footprint that this company is currently emitting, and how it would emit 0% of that at any point in our lifetime that's a tough one.
Especially if you believe that they are moving out into more of controlling their own distribution chain by, possibly having their own airline or shipping company or something like that, like they're building airfields for. So that will be a question. To me, it's a press release. Look, don't tell me about the labor, show me the baby. And I hate to be, a negative on something like this, but it just kind of seems like a announcement that was made so there wasn't any further a Sturm and Drang amongst the employees. It bought him a decade. Congratulations. Let's just see if he follows through on it.
Yeah, I agree with Sarah. I think it's more than just a press release. I think they really do plan to try to do this stuff. But I also think a press release is significant in this case because we hadn't even had that before. And those Rivian vans are new. Rivian, the SMR podcast guys were talking about the Rivian SUV and the Rivian pickup truck, which both look really nice. Who knew they had vans until Amazon decided to order 100,000 of them? But apparently they have vans. So there you go. Roku released updates to its Express and Ultra streaming boxes. The Roku Express can now be entirely powered by your TV's USB port. They even give you an adhesive strip so you can just stick it on the back. Now remember, this isn't the streaming stick Roku. This is the one where you still have to use an HDMI cable to connect it, but it might as well be a stick at this point. It streams in HD, is now 10% smaller than the outgoing model, which means it's about half the size of the Roku remote, and it costs $30. The Roku Ultra has been upgraded with a faster quad-core processor, more RAM. They claim it's 17% faster at launching channels and 30% faster at app launches. The Ultra Remote also includes 2 programmable shortcut buttons that can perform any function available through voice commands, from launching a specific channel to adjusting TV settings, and that costs $100. For all you Roku users, Roku also announced Roku OS 9.2 will start rolling out to streaming devices with TVs to follow. The new OS adds something called Roku Zones, which when you go into search will aggregate a content by genre before you even start searching. It also adds sleep timers, new search options, the ability to control multiple Rokus with your voice through Google Assistant or Amazon Voice Services. So, some nice to haves, but I'll be honest, I want some real solid performance updates with OS 9.2, especially interface updates, and I'm not seeing that here.
Roku owns so your friend, family member, coworker doesn't have a streaming box. They want to cut the cord, and you are just giving them a stocking stuffer or office Christmas gift or something like that. It is $29.99. That's a slam dunk for something that's beyond a stick. The Amazon Fire Stick, at least as of now, who knows if they'll discount it for the holiday season, is $39.99. So they are at a very competitive spot price-wise with that. But I'm with you, Tom. Look, it's all the Rokus I've had are great, but at the end of the day, you can see the difference between a polished user interface like Apple has or even Amazon has with their devices.
I don't know. The Roku Ultra, 17% faster channel launches, guys.
I mean, that's not the OS upgrade, though. That's not going to improve my existing Roku any.
It's also...
It's something, but I've gotten faster channel launches every time Roku's upgraded their hardware. I'm ready for something else. Like, I know everybody hates the Apple remote, but man, can you zoom through menus with that thing? It is butter smooth and it's fast. I'm sitting there with my Roku going ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk.
Yeah, sometimes the Apple remote is too fast.
Too fast, yeah, totally.
I understand how to use it, but you're right. Like, anybody who's owned a Roku is very familiar with that, like, boop, boop, boop.
I'll just wait until I've scrolled through all that. Yeah.
But meanwhile, look, the Ultra is $19.99 or $99.99. So this is more somebody that you actually like. This is a substantial Christmas present, but compared to the Apple TV, which is at $150, at least now, that is, again, it's very competitive. This is where Roku lives right now, is a budget version of it can do the same thing.
Amazon's Fire TV, I think, has the best balance between good interface and affordability, but then you're in the Amazon universe, so they just recently got YouTube back. Roku does have still the advantage of being like, hey, we don't stop people from using our platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roku, I think Roku was first in many ways. And it used to be the only way that I could watch HBO content, for example, before it came to
the old Roku
Netflix
player.
Yeah, and I still have it. It's in fact it's also it adhesed to the back of my TV, but I did that myself, so you can't see it. But it's my backup box all the time. It's there. I don't use it unless I have to, but it still works. But I get what you're saying. The interface has almost surprisingly changed very little over the years. So it's cutesy and everything. And if it's the first kind of cord cutting experience you have, great, fine. But then when you see other interfaces, it can be hard to go back.
Sarah, what's Bob Iger dreaming about these days?
I'm glad you asked, Tom. An excerpt from Disney CEO Bob Iger's memoir titled The Ride of a Lifetime, Lessons Learned from 15 Years as CEO of the Walt Disney Company was published by Vanity Fair. Making all the headlines is the following line regarding Apple CEO Steve Jobs, quote, I believe that if Steve were still alive, we would have combined our companies or at least discussed the possibility very seriously, end quote. The context of this is a much longer chapter about Iger getting to know Jobs and convincing him to sell Pixar to Disney, and then working with Jobs as a board member and then becoming friends.
Yeah, I mean, this line comes very far into this chapter, and the chapter is just a love story of Steve and Bob becoming friends, and how Steve hated Disney when Bob took over, but somehow they gained a mutual respect and loved each other's bold ideas until finally they agreed to sell Pixar. And Steve was like, "Yo, softy," and Bob was like, "Ah, come here, give me a hug." And then he gets to this line of like, I believe that if he were alive, we would have just been such good friends. We would have combined our companies. So to me, this line feels like a throwaway, maybe a very calculated throwaway that he knew would grab headlines. Don't get me wrong, but it's not saying we definitely had plans to merge these companies.
No, it's like I think we would have combined companies, or maybe we would have just thought about it because we were pretty close and hugged. These sorts of things, and maybe this is all completely factual and nostalgic and all of that, but I believe
they were friends.
Sure, exactly. But it's very easy to say something like that about somebody who can't be like, well, that's not what happened.
I mean, look, this is a CEO memoir. This is not here to accurately report the facts, although I don't necessarily know that there's anything inaccurate here. This is a cementing of the mythology of the man that is Bob Iger. And Bob Iger's legacy, aside from being somebody who definitely made the Disney Corporation far more powerful than it was when he founded, is the genius whisperer. And the first genius he successfully whispered to was Steve Jobs. He convinced Disney to buy Pixar. I believe everything in there about how much the board was against it, and the way he talks about it, much in the same way that you've heard him talk about how he talked to George Lucas, how he talked to how he got Marvel, how he negotiated to buy most of Fox, basically. This is what he does. He is the Nick Fury, and Steve Jobs is his Iron Man. And so you would look at this as, hey, before Iron Man died, we were really thinking about him taking over S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, this is even saying, I believe if Iron Man were still alive, we would have done this other thing, or maybe at least talked about it. Like, that literally is the quote.
Look, this is something that I do believe in, though. I mean, I do think that Steve Jobs had a fundamentally different view of what content curation was that I don't know if Tim Cook does. I think Tim Cook's strength, obviously, is as a supply chain guy, and he has led Apple faithfully in that regard, although it means we'll get a few more SKUs these days than we probably would have if Steve Jobs was still here. But like, I do think that this is a thing. I do think that this is and look.
Oh yeah. I think that Iger believes it, but that's far from saying it was gonna happen or would have happened. I don't know. Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, we got a couple of big stuff to talk about before we're done here. Huawei launched the 6.53-inch Mate 30 Pro with a 2400 by 1176 display that curves over the edge of the device. That screen serves as a speaker, just like it does on the P30 Pro. Inside is the powerful new Kirin 990 system on a chip, a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, and either 128 or 256 gigabytes of storage. There are 3 rear cameras on the back, 2 40 megapixel sensors with wide and ultra wide lenses, an 8 megapixel zoom, as well as depth sensing and time of flight sensors. The camera can shoot 4K 60 frames per second video a super slow-mo function with 720p video at 7,680 frames per second. There's also a 32 megapixel camera on the front that supports augmented reality photos and videos, as well as gesture control for scrolling and eye position detection for screen orientation. It knows, oh, your eyes are there, then your screen should be there. The phone can do 3D face unlock, but also has an in-screen fingerprint reader, supports 40-watt fast charging and 27-watt wireless charging, runs Huawei's EMUI 10 over Android 10 open source. Ooh, here's where the specs aren't so great because it doesn't come preloaded with Google Apps or Google Play services because of the trade restrictions in the US. This is the first big phone from Huawei that doesn't. But Huawei says, forget that. We're going to spend $1 billion on incentives to promote our Huawei mobile services app ecosystem. There's even a vegan leather-backed model with an IP68 water and dust rating. Pricing for the Mate 30 Pro will start at 1,099 euros for the 4G version, 1,199 euros for the 5G version. That's pretty affordable for those kinds of versions. There's also a Pro Porsche design RS model that starts at 2,095 euros and includes 12 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage with a Porsche designed red and black leather back. When will it arrive in Europe? I don't know. Huawei didn't say. All right. Just for completeness sake, Huawei also showed off its GT2 smartwatch, its Earbuds 3 wireless noise canceling headphones, and several smart TVs.
The poor smart TVs.
Yeah.
You're like, come on, we were really good too. Stupid Mate 30 Pro. Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, the prices are staggeringly low. Can you imagine really any large competitor that would be capable of making a phone with these specs being able to price it like that?
No.
It wouldn't happen.
There are a few specs, as Tom alluded to, that we can go through now, that in 4th and 20, it can throw the ball at least 50 yards and have many laterals and rugby pitches to try and get it in the end zone. Folks, Huawei has a problem. They are a company under siege, and yet, specifically in Europe and in China, they are a prestige smartphone maker. This is probably the only thing that they do know now they can count on. So, yes, they need a big phone. Yes, they do need it to be a success, and they'd prefer for you to buy the Porsche version.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's tempting to think like, oh, they knew their backs were up against the wall with the trade restrictions, so they pulled out all the stops. But features like this are put into a phone months and months and months ahead of time.
Oh,
so
sure.
They kind of had an inkling that this might be in the offing from the trade restrictions, but these specs were nailed down for the most part before that. Huawei would have come out with the same phone had there never been any trade restrictions on them from the United States. They're just a really good maker of phones, sure. And thank goodness for them that they are, because at least they have a fighting chance of selling some of these. But even with all of these specs, it's going to be hard for people to get over even the perception that like, well, but it doesn't have real Android. Even though it's Android, it's not the Android that comes from Google. It's not the Android that gets the security updates from Google. And it certainly doesn't going to have the Google Play Store on it.
Well, so that's the big question, right? Some people are going to say that. Is everybody going to say
How
that?
many? Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's Android, right? Yeah, it's Android. It's just like a Huawei, different kind of Android. I don't think that... Well, I was about to say, I don't think that many people care. I think a lot of people care. I think the company may still sell a lot of phones to people who say Android is Android, don't really know the difference, as long as it mostly functions the same way.
Look, can your phone do the thing? That's all people care about. And if part of that thing is something that they're used to doing in the Google Play Store or with that Google presented OS, then it will be a friction point, and we'll see how much they have to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It says Android. I guess that's still Android, or that Android is not the Android logo I'm used to. Where's the Google Play Store? Which one will roll out?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, Google launched a new platform within the Google Pay app, not Play, but Pay app in India. The Spot platform lets merchants create mini stores called Spots inside Google Pay. The spots will surface at relevant times for users, like your cab spot might show up in the morning, or your favorite restaurant might show up at lunchtime. Existing apps and websites can become spots with just a few lines of JavaScript. Google Pay also gets support for tokenized cards that can use NFC to pay with a phone. Visa cards from 4 banks are already now with MasterCard and RuPay, and a few other banks promised to be on the way within months. Google Pay has 67 million monthly active users right now in India, putting it right alongside Amazon Pay, Paytm, and Flipkart's PhonePe or Pay. WhatsApp is going to add peer-to-peer payments by the end of the year, so everybody wants to be the WeChat of India in this crowd, and today was Google's pitch to become that. Also at Google India, the Vodafone Idea phone line launched. That's where if you're in India, you can call a number toll-free and ask a Google Assistant questions in English or Hindi. No charge. There's no charge to use it. There's no charge to make the call. It's just Google Assistant available by phone. Additionally, Google Lens now supports Hindi, Tamil, Marathi, and Telugu translations. And finally, Google Research India will open in Bangalore, led by Dr. Manish Gupta, an ACM fellow and Infosys Foundation chair professor at IIIT Bangalore. The center will work on machine learning, computer vision, languages, speech systems, and other related areas.
Well, this is Google. Yeah, Google. If everybody wants to be WeChat, Google's getting pretty close. If folks in the country actually take on a lot of these features, really cool. The Spots feature is really cool. The phone line idea is extremely smart and obviously very calculated. I mean, imagine how many people for free might have a question and just get used to saying like, just call Google. Google will know.
Yeah, which means you can use Google Assistant from your feature phone, right?
Yeah.
And then you get used to that. And when you're going and finally upgrading to a mid-range smartphone, they say, well, this one has Google Assistant built right on the phone. You don't even have to call a number.
Yeah, it's like remember when people used to do Google via text message, like Google search via text message.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that.
Like that was the thing. Like I mean,
that's how Twitter launched, was being like, we're going to let you post by text message.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Right. Like that was just a fascinating element of like Google's built for this. They've always been built for like, let's scale down our product to make it worth it. India, obviously a tremendous growth market that has taken on to these kinds of pay systems like much of the developing world has. I think it's smart. I mean, and also I just think any way that we can continue to bring innovations to merchants and sellers, you will be rewarded for it.
Yeah, this market could be the thing that saves Huawei. If Huawei were able to sell its mid-range phones well in India, I don't think a Mate P30 Pro is going to save it in India. But if they could make some headway in India, that could be the hedge they need. I don't see any evidence of that. And when you're kicked out of the Google Play Store and suddenly everybody in India is like, I might be using Google Pay. But even if they're not, they're using something from, Flipkart or Paytm, which also they're probably getting from the Google Play Store. And can you get those companies to develop something for your Huawei mobile store? I don't know. I don't know if you have the cachet for that or not. A lot of questions. But this, to me, it's not the only market. There's a lot of markets in Africa that are up and coming and important. Certainly China is not done being an important market. In the US and Europe, of course, they're all important markets, as is the Middle East. But man, India seems to be the one where if you want to get ahead of your competitor, it's a really good chance to do that.
Also interesting not only how many monthly active users Google Pay has in India, but how long the company must know that folks are already within the app. Like, okay, let's add spots to give more incentives to merchants to become part of this program. When was the last time I was in any pay app on my phone? I don't even know how to launch it really. I just gotta tap my phone. Sometimes it works, or sometimes I forget to do it.
Venmo is popular here in America.
It doesn't even compare though. This is North Americans. As North Americans, we have no idea what this is about, because this is not about being in your pay app. This is about your pay app having become the platform in which you do everything. In China, WeChat is your everything. You don't go out without your phone with WeChat on it. And that's what Google Pay is trying to be here. Nobody's been able to do that in North America because, I don't know, I guess we're too set in our ways or something.
Well, I think we also have a far more built out system where like we all have solutions for the little things that a lot of these platforms were able to kind of be born fully featured with, like we have a chat that we've been using. We have text messages.
It's good enough.
And I think for a lot of folks, or go ahead, Justin.
No, yeah. All I'm saying is that like there were a lot of we piecemeal put together our digital lives, and then we were like, oh, cool, we could do pay here too. Where in a lot of these countries, based on a lot of the apps that we had. They're like, cool, we'll just put all these features in, and you're also paying with it, so it's totally something that you need every single day.
Yeah, I think my experience with a company that tries to do all-in-one is people going, stop trying to do all-in-one stuff. Stop it, Facebook. You're a social network. It's really annoying. I don't want to pay people within Facebook. Why would I want to do that? Which is funny because it's like, okay, if if it was a WeChat or something that it made sense and was completely accepted, then that actually is the more convenient way to do things. But it gives one company a lot of control. So there's two ways to look at it.
Totally.
Thanks, everybody who participates in our subreddit. You have complete control over us. Well, okay, you have partial control, but but we'll take it. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook. Join our group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow.
And we'd love to get your emails and talk about them on the show, like right now.
Yes, exactly. Vince actually wrote in and said, I got some of our 5-year anniversary DTNS merch in the mail today, and it totally made my week. Thank you so much. And you know what, Vince? It made our day to get your email that it made your week.
Yeah, if you're a patron for 3 months at the master or advisor levels, the top 2 levels, you either get a mug at the master level after 3 months or a poster at the advisor level. So thank you, Vince, and congratulations, and thank you. Also, a faithful listener wrote in because we were salivating over that huge HP Curve monitor that can handle 2 devices at once yesterday. And this faithful listener said, you guys are really doing a great job on the show, so treat yourself to that monitor if you get the chance.
You heard it here, faithful listener. Monitors for all. You too, Justin.
Yeah. We're going to need more Vinces for that to happen. But yeah, monitors for all, small American flags for others.
Thanks, everybody who gives us feedback every day. And some days they're just warm and fuzzy like today. So keep them coming, questions, comments, all the good stuff. And thanks to Justin Robert Young for being with us today. Justin, what's been going on since last week?
Well, of course, for friends, you can follow me at the Politics podcast. You can find that wherever you download podcasts. Just search for politics and then either my name or politics. This week, I think we had a great week of content. You on Tuesday got a interview about gerrymandering, if that's something that's interesting to you, including the fact that, Sarah, do you know where the name gerrymandering comes from?
I don't, and I would love to know.
It's the combination of the man who drew the first weird-looking district, or one of the famous weird-looking districts in Boston, and a salamander. What? His name was Jerry. The district looked like a salamander, and so that's where we get the very serious topic.
Yeah,
gerrymandering.
Wow.
I was so happy to hear you talk about that on that show because as a kid, I had a little like scholastic book of political cartoons, and they had the gerrymander cartoon in that book. And it's always been one of my favorite political cartoons because I think the cartoon is really what popularized it, because Governor Jerry's district drawing it like a salamander. Yeah, that was so great.
So go ahead and do that. And then, of course, on the PX3 Prime episode, which came out yesterday, we talked all about why Kamala Harris's rise in the polls during the summer has not lasted, and Bernie Sanders becoming the giving tree to Elizabeth.
It was a good analogy about the giving tree. Hey, folks, we are in our last month of the classic DTNS Patreon rewards. You got to become a Patreon right now to get the last wave of the classic rewards before we get you all new and improved awards starting October 1st. And if you want to find out what those awards are ahead of time, we had some great feedback from people, and we have nailed down what we're doing at dailytechnewsshow.com/Patreon.
Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com is where to send those emails. And if you'd like to join us live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, that's 2030 UTC, put it on your calendar and see you tomorrow, and find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Lamar Wilson and Len Peralta. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Nailed it. Thank you for your patience with the delayed start today, everyone.
Well, of course, I just hope Ms. Ray is all right.
Well, I mean, the upshot is she's turned the corner and has been doing great for the past week, but the doctor did find that her, I don't want to get too detailed about my dog's health issues, but there was a little thing with her nutrition. And so she's like, that could be an indication of something serious, but the fact that she's doing better makes me think it probably isn't. So rather than some kind of surgical thing that's really complex and expensive, let's just change her diet and see if that affects it. So that's what we're going to do.
Well, Otis has volunteered to take any of her leftover diet just to see if he might be better with it. Because, all dogs are different.
Yeah.
Ready to take one for the team. Well, good. That sounds good. That sounds promising. You know what else is promising? A good show title. And boy, do we have some options.
Let's go to dtns.showbot.tv for It Might As Well Be a Stick. Bob Iger's Bromance, Bob Iger Genius Whisperer, cord-cutting stocking stuffers. What's Bob Iger dreaming about? The Huawei Hail Mary. I like that one. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's my vote.
Bob and Steve, a buddy story. Can your phone do the thing?
The vegan smartphone.
The vegan smartphone. Google 411 never died. We need more Vinces.
Yeah, 1-800-HEY-GOOG.
1-800-HEY-GOOG. Yeah, I think I like
Bromance.
Which one?
Bob Iger's Bromance.
Bob Iger Bromance. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, it's a very worthwhile read if you have not read the excerpt.
Oh yeah.
It begins with man, I'll tell you what, I could talk about this for like a half hour because Bob Iger and Steve Jobs, although certainly unique in their own philosophies of life and seem to be some of the more swashbuckling CEOs of their era, both substantial egos, and the opening of that excerpt in a certain lens can be looked at as Steve Jobs power moving Bob Iger by revealing that he has cancer.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because it's read in this very like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But the actual substance of it is, hey, we have 30 minutes until we announce that Disney's buying Pixar. I just wanted to let you know, I have cancer, so you can back out of the deal if you want.
I just didn't want you to go into the deal not knowing that. But I also didn't want to tell you more than 30 minutes before the deal.
It's like one of those things where like, it's recounted in this very like, oh my God, all I do is I just care about my friends.
He trusted me with this information.
And I don't think any of that is untrue.
No, I don't think so either.
But I don't
think you're right.
I don't think that Bob Iger or Steve Jobs get to the point that they've gotten in their business careers without knowing how to power move.
I have very good friends that if I pulled that stunt on, they would be like, F you, Tom. Why did you do this to me right now?
Why did you wait?
The conversation might end up with a hug, but that would definitely be the thing that was said.
It's like, listen, number one, you better give me your phone because I better see a text from your doctor the timestamp of 5 minutes ago for me to not be furious with you right now.
For Good Day Internet, all the suggestions are about my solar smugness. Tom's moral ascension. Tom's officially the best. Tom's self-righteousness is off the charts.
Solar
ascension is good.
The one I really like is Tom got a call from his self-confidence.
That's a good. Yeah, that's what Justin was commenting on.
That was really good. I like that.
You want to do that one? Or is
yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Let's do it.
If you told me just going back to what you were just saying, and you said 30 minutes before some giant deal, it's like, hey, good luck with that. I would be so whatever. I'm done. I'm gonna go get a hot dog. Or a corn dog.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was looking at the 890 watt hours that I produced so far.
Hey, use some of that watt hours and cook me up a corn dog.
Will do. I've got an electric.
Are you really gonna have a corn dog?
I have 2 frozen ones I need to eat before I toss.
Oh, bring them over.
Roger's like, I don't want to share though.
It's like, no, but then I'd have to waste all that.
Then I
gas.
only get one.
I
would be carbon neutral.
You're making me increase my greenhouse or
That's right.
my carbon footprint.
Yeah.
And then you'll be even more smug when I get to your door.
So you need to buy an electric car before you bring your corn dog over.
Come on.
Be cool.
Let's be cool. Hey, folks, if you don't know about America's Next Top Podcaster and you want to see 50% of the people you're watching right now do another podcast, go to americasnexttop.podcaster.com. It is a competition show hosted by Brian Ibbett with Justin Robert Young as a judge and myself as a coach. And we take teams of podcasters and try to either, in my case, help them achieve their dreams, or in Justin's case, crush them.
I don't cry. I nurture at times.
No, you're actually really good, but you're honest.
Well, what's funny is, so Tom and I don't do the show together,
right?
And so oftentimes, what I will find when I listen to the podcast is that Tom will be responding. I can't respond to Tom, but Tom can respond to me, because as the show starts airing, or like as you know what had happened or what the critics.
Here's the thing. I don't listen to the judging before I coach them.
Yes.
So I'm responding to their response to you.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
You will hear what they have done, and you will have very important opinions on it that will guide how they do. But I will say this, we are now 3 weeks in terms of the recording, because it is kind of like a reality show where we're shooting ahead, and then we'll start airing once there are more produced. But the group of talent is stacked. Like the initial couple challenges we've been through one challenge, but
these teams are coming out of the gate hot. They're last season was an experimental season for everyone. Yeah. But these teams are definitely benefiting from having listened to last season and knowing like, oh, okay, this is what I think I need to do. Because Scott Johnson is also a judge, and Jenny Josephson, our senior advisor and former producer of Daily Tech News Show, is the other judge.
And that's the thing, is that she is, it's funny because I talk the most and I've done the least, but next to Jenny and Scott, they have done amazing stuff. And there's nothing that will shut me up faster than Jenny. Luckily, we've agreed on everything so far, but Levels, one of those like, well, at Marketplace, and then has a different opinion, I will sure shut my pie.
Yeah. Well, when I was at CBS News working with Dan Rather.
Exactly. Right.
So go to americasnexttop.podcaster.com. The season 2 preview is up. That's looking forward. And then, next week, the first challenge episode will go up, and it's a fun time. They're always looking for special mentors too. I think Dr. Kiki may be on the offing.
I know there's a popular podcast that'll be mentoring for this challenge that we're.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, man, because I pushed initially. They were going to have. They used to have to turn in their podcasts on Friday. And I like that a lot because I was able to, I like to take a little walk on Fridays, and I was able to listen to them during my walk. But they wanted to bump it back just to give them more time. And they wanted to do it initially Monday. And I was like, no, it's got to be Sunday. I enjoy these podcasts. So now it's Sunday at noon. But I think the extra time really worked because the last few were awesome.
Yeah, that first round was knocked my socks off. And apparently, one of the teams after my coaching section was like, "Oh man, that was rough," like because I pushed them, and that team ended up coming out with something I thought was really good. So I was happy. I was like, "Good. I'm glad they took it the right way and ran with it."
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It
Good.
is. Although, like, it was all fun and games until by the end of last season, a few of the contestants talked about that I'd made multiple people cry.
Nah, it's never a good feeling.
I did not feel good about that.
No.
Well, did you make them cry, or were they feeling pressure and you happened to be there that day type thing?
I believe the phrase was, "Who cried because of something Justin said?"
And like everyone raised their hand, kind of thing.
More people than I was happy about spoke up.
Well, okay, that's not fun. That part is not fun. But you got a job to do, right?
Well,
gotta be tough.
There's I have a few things. Mostly the stuff that I get on people is like, you didn't put enough work into it. Like that's my thing is like I feel like I'm fairly forgiving on creative decisions that are taken, except for one last year where they did a movie debate and they were debating the old Charlie and the Chocolate Factory versus the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And that was a creative decision that I could not abide by because it was fundamentally useless.
You were like, you should have done Pulp Fiction versus Shawshank Redemption.
Oh my God, no. Well, at least people like to debate about that. There seems to be two sides. At least according to my Twitter mentions.
Oh man. I generally my blanket advice in these coaching sessions is take your idea farther. You're not going to be ahead of the other team if you just have this sounds cute. This sounds funny.
Yeah.
Also, I'm constantly reminding people comedy is real hard. If you nail it, it's great. But if it's so much more often that it falls flat and people don't find it what you thought was funny as you did.
Or it's not as funny as in the room, right? It's not as in the moment. Like
right.
As funny as it is with friends. It's not as funny as it is,
Your funny comedy is also. I mean, you know this from years of Night Attack and NSOW show. Funny is so contextual.
Yeah, and there's stuff that we did an episode on the Ice Cream Social podcast not too long ago when we were out in Vegas for DEF CON, and we did 2 episodes. The second episode got really loopy and off the rails, and it was some of the hardest that I have ever laughed at anything. And then sure enough, it comes out and some people think it's great. Other people think this is unlistenable. I shut it off halfway through. And it's all I know is that I had a blast.
Right.
Also, I care a little bit less because it's not my show and I really had a good time. So, but there's just there's no way of telling. It's comedy, especially in audio, man. It's either got a hit or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, folks, now that we've given you all of our secrets for podcasting and comedy, I suppose we ought to wind this up. Any last good day thoughts? Anyone?
There's a podcast I started listening to that's really good called Passenger List. It's a dramatization of a plane that goes missing.
Oh.
And who might be at fault. It's
so
really,
you're not
it's
from
not
the point of view of the plane, from the point of view of people looking for the plane.
Yeah. Okay. But it's incredibly well done. It just launched recently.
Right.
Passenger List. Yeah, it's a Radiotopia show, so it's going to be good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think
so that might have you have a good day.
Take that and run with it and have a good day, folks.
Good day, Internet.
Good day.